The Toronto police are investigating after shots were fired at a Jewish girls' school near Shepherd Avenue West and Chesswood Drive. A press conference outside of the school is about to happen. Let's listen in live.
Sossover.
Rabbi, you can step into the mic.
I'm sorry, Rabbi Yaakov Vidal, spelled Yaacov Vidal, and I am the principal. James, just saw it. No introduction.
You ready, Rabbi?
Yeah, we're good.
So we're here today. Can't believe that this is the third time being shot at. It's there's no words to even to express. At the same time, we're very thankful that nobody was hurt, no one was injured. It was done when no one was here. However, it doesn't take away from the severity of the situation. We also want to thank the police department for being there for us. At the same time, we're asking for more support. That they, the last time they did catch the perpetrators. However, nothing seemed. We didn't seem to get much out of that. Who was behind it, and so on. We're asking for more support. More should be put into that. At the same time, we want to send out a message that we won't be deterred. We're here. As we see, even today, we opened up right after. We're here to stay, and this message is a week before the holiday of Hanukkah. Hanukkah was the time that the Jews were. It was the victory of those that wanted to destroy the Jews, and here we are a week before Hanukkah, with the message that light will prevail over darkness, and we hope that we'll see that very soon. So thank you for all the support we've got, and we should only see continued light. Thank you. So, as was mentioned previously, we're here in a short time of 7 months. It is the third time that our school was targeted by shooters overnight. Again, we thank the God Almighty that no one was injured and everyone is safe. Thank God. Thank the Toronto Police and the 32 Division for being here, conducting their investigation, and being here to show their support. It's very, very difficult. It's very, very hard to be woken up in the middle of the night to such news, and it is now the third time. Parents are concerned, frustrated, in fear. Students are afraid, staff are afraid, and no one should be afraid to come to school. No one should be afraid sending their child to school. We are here to educate children, and that's what we're here for, and that's what we will continue to do. And we hope that this is the final time and this will come to an end. Again, as Hanukkah is coming up, light will always prevail, and the message to the world out there is increase in goodness and kindness. And that's what will bring the world to peace and to a better place. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you very much for coming, rabbis, community organizers. What we are seeing now is the result of the incitement of mobs that have taken over our streets and marching with impunity, calling for the destruction of Israel, calling for the genocide of Jews, calling for the destruction of local Jewish businesses, marching around with impunity. What you're seeing is an entire societal failure, all the way from Ottawa down to the local government, to grapple with the lawlessness that is going on our streets and in our cities. And this is the result of it. A horrible third shooting at a girls' Jewish school. What has become of this city? What has become of this country? This city has always welcomed people from all over the world who are escaping persecution, violence, and world conflict zones. They come here to put those dangerous areas behind them to live their lives in peace and security, and they are not finding it here. And this is a real sobering awakening, long overdue, for our police services, for our bureaucrats, for elected officials to take an even stronger stand against the mobs that have taken over our streets and inciting the violence that we're seeing in our community. One final point I would make: the Jewish community will not be intimidated. We helped build this city, we helped build this country, we built institutions. We're not going anywhere. And we're going to go about our daily lives as Jews, living as Jews, and going around without intimidation and harassment. Thank you very much.
Every parent in this country should be confident sending their child to school that they will be safe. This is now the third time that this school has been shot at. This isn't the Canada that I grew up in, and it's not the Canada that I want for my children. Every single person in this city, in this province, in this country has a choice to make about what message we send to the girls who go to school here. The time for talk is over. It's time for action. There are common sense things that we can do, that our leaders can do, to deal with this problem right away. We need funding for police to get the job done, and we need to put a stop to the extremism in our streets that's inciting this violence. The time for our leaders to speak, to tweet is over. Now it's time for them to take action.
My heart breaks for the rabbis. My heart breaks for the students, these young girls that have to come and face this reality for the third time in our city, third time, as you heard, in the last number of months. My heart breaks for the parents that somehow have to sit down and explain to their children why this is happening in Canada in 2024, what this means, what the new reality is for the Jewish community in our city here and across Canada. 2 days ago, it was a synagogue being firebombed in Montreal. We've seen multiple incidents across this country, and we've seen a failure at all levels to deal with this, to keep our Jewish community safe. And that should be a given. That should not even be up for debate as we stand here today, but it is. And that's what we awoke to again this morning. Gunshots at a Jewish school. There needs to be action, and there needs to be action now. The hollow condemnations, the thoughts and prayers are simply not enough.
Good morning, everyone. As the Member of Parliament of this riding in York Centre, I am coming here today to say, as a Jewish mother and as a member of this community, that this will stop now. I am calling on every local leader, provincial, and myself as part of the federal government, that the time is now to bring all heads together to make a commitment to keep the Jewish community safe. This is not who we are as a country. The Jewish community have been a strong part of the growth and the diversity of Canada for well over a century. This is meant to be home to everyone who lives here, young and old. To have this happen for the third time at a Jewish school in our community, it stops now. I want to thank all the members of the levels of government, James Pasternak from City Councillor, former colleagues including Michael Levitt, who have come together time and again to call for local law enforcement, local city council, provincial, and also federal members of government and parliament to work together to protect the Jewish community. It is our duty, it is our responsibility as Canadians to make sure that every community in this country is safe and feels safe every day, whether they go to school, whether they go to work, whether they go to any part of this city or any part of this country. No one should have to second guess when they take their kids to school in the morning. From today, I am calling on all of us to work together as leaders, because that is what is expected to us, both as members of every level of government, but also as Canadians. Thank you.
they're not getting names, so just introduce yourself.
I'm Daniel Held. I'm the Chief Program Officer at UJA Federation of Greater Toronto. My parents moved to Canada. They immigrated to Canada about 50 years ago. This isn't the Canada which they immigrated to. This isn't the Canada I was born in, but it is the Canada filled with hate and violence that my children are growing up in. It is not fair to our children to wake up in the morning to find that a school has been shot at. It is scary. It is violent. It is not the society that we want to see for ourselves, for our children. But my children went to school this morning. My daughters went to school this morning knowing that there was an attack like this. We as Canadians need to stand up and say there is no room for hate. There is no room for violence. There is no room for antisemitism. There is no room for school shootings or violence and anger on streets in the way that we've seen over the last year. Our politicians cannot just tweet about it, cannot just speak about it. We need to take a stand and ensure that our society's policies and infrastructure, law enforcement and leaders stand up and put an end to the kinds of hate and violence that we are seeing on our streets, and we are seeing manifest in the third time that this school is being shot at in just a number of months. It is time for concrete actions to ensure that we bring back the kind of Canadian society to which my parents immigrated nearly 50 years ago, and the kind of Canadian society that I grew up in. Because the direction we are heading right now is not a direction that any of us wants for our children or for the Canadian future.
Do your kids go to this school? Sorry.
No, my kids go to a different Jewish day school. Thanks, good clarification.
Can we get names and spelling for all of you? And then they're going to be questions, but they didn't get names and spelling, so Noah, can you do your...
Sure, it's James Pasternak, James-Pasternak, Councillor Ward 6, City of Toronto.
Noah Shack, Noah-Shack, Interim President at CIJA, the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs.
Michael Levitt, Michael-Levitt, President and CEO, Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Center.
Yara Sachs, Yaara-Saks, Member of Parliament for York Centre.
Can I maybe put to one of the rabbis, how are the kids doing? What conversations have you had with them, and what conversations have they had with you about what's going on?
Unfortunately, we've had experience on this. So upon waking up middle of the night to this, I immediately notified the parents. We were not sure if we're going to be able to have school here today due to the police investigation. Then we were told that it was possible to have school here. I was actually looking for a different location, but thank God we were able to operate here. Parents are very, very frustrated. They're very afraid to send their kids to school. I am aware of a few that did not send their kids to school today, and sadly and unfortunately so. And we hope that they once again feel safe to do so every single day as they deserve.
Can you talk about the damage that this school sustained?
So there were a few broken glasses. They also hit our the fence system, which opens and closes the gate. So that's the scope of the damage.
Are there actual bullet holes that kids can see inside the classrooms or the school?
No, the bullet holes are all in the front. It's not in the classrooms, but it's the front doors and the front glass. And you also you could see we have on our footage. You see all the car coming and doing the full shooting and so all that.
Can you just tell us how many students come to the school and the grades you service?
So there's approximately 250 students, and it's from JK through grade 8.
Children understand what happened here. Do your tiny kids understand
That's
what happened here?
So to a certain extent, and I guess each age understands to the age that they understand.
I remember interviewing you the last time this happened a few weeks ago, and you talked about increasing security, that you're going to have to take responsibility to some extent for that. Did that matter in this case? I mean, you did amp up security.
So we did have full-time security since then, but not, when I say full-time security, I meant as long as school was open, but we didn't have security overnight. That kind of, it's too expensive, but we may have to do that at this point, or we'll have to see what our next step is. But we did have full-time security, as long as the children are here.
I remember the last time you were talking about you felt supported by the police, but the reality is this is now 3 times. There's something else you think the police should be doing on behalf of you and the school here? So
we do feel supported by the police, but we do feel that a lot more has to be done, especially when they did catch the people last time. But after that, there was not much information that came from that. Like, we'd like to know, who's connected, and I think if we get to the bottom line of who's connected to it, then it would make a big difference.
Councillor Pasternak, can I ask you a quick question? The mayor was on a local radio the other day, and I'm paraphrasing her words, but what she said basically was she supports the Jewish community, and if that was not the message that they were receiving, that's on her. As a leader in the Jewish community, do you accept those remarks from her, and what would you like to see done by the mayor?
Well, look, the Police Act forbids elected officials from directing police operations, but the Police Act doesn't stop us from nuance. And I think we have to back up our police services, give them the political will to stop these roving mobs that have taken over our streets, that are inciting some of the violence that we're seeing in this neighborhood and across the land. So look, we work with the mayor. She does support the Jewish community, but when it comes to the safety and law enforcement, we must give police services the support they need. And we need the other levels of government to come forward. We have a very thin police force with limited resources. We need the support of the OPP and the RCMP.
So what more could the mayor do with regards to the answer you just provided? What more could she do in supporting the police and supporting the community?
Well, as I said, under the Police Act, she can't direct police operations. But we've seen in the past, whether it was with the Freedom Convoy trying to enter Toronto or with the clearing of encampments under the previous administration, nuance is very important. So that is, if you're asking for a suggestion, that's the suggestion. We need a closer relationship between the political pillar in Toronto and, of course, police services, and to give police services the support they need, not only from other levels of government, but from the judicial system and the Ministry of the Attorney General.
A question for one of the other speakers, perhaps a simple question, but why do you think this keeps happening here? Why?
Well, this is an isolated school in an industrial area. It's a target for cowards and hate mongers to come in here to try and harass, to try and intimidate, and we say no to that. We say we will not be harassed, we will not be intimidated, and we will not give in to the lawless mobs.
Can I hear some other perspective on that as well, please? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that this is recurring and is happening so frequently, not just here, but around our city, and I have to express immense disappointment with our mayor, with Olivia Chow. And I heard that interview, and my eyes rolled back into my head as I listened to it. We have not seen the mayor of our city draw a line through this type of activity and come out and be strong enough. Sure, when shots are fired, but what about all the other incidents that have been going on? It's been a failure of leadership. We need to see our mayor take a stand with the Jewish community of this city and make it clear that keeping the Jewish community safe is a priority. And to James's point, it's not about directing police. It's about being vocal, being loud, and showing support for the Jewish community, and we need that to happen now.
The fact is, this isn't an isolated incident. These kinds of things are happening all across our country, whether it's a synagogue being firebombed repeatedly in Montreal, or this school here that continues to suffer from gunfire in an effort to intimidate the girls that are here. And as others have said, there should be no daylight between the mayor of this city, the police of this city, and the community that is facing this kind of threat day in and day out. It's shameful. It's absolutely shameful. And there has to be a change, and the time for change was yesterday. We need all levels of government, all across this country, and all the police services to be working together to tackle this crisis immediately. When houses of worship are being firebombed and schools are being shot at simply because they're Jewish, that is unacceptable anywhere in Canada, whether it's here or anywhere else, and the time for action is now.
I would simply add that de-escalation has not worked. This will blow over has not worked. Ambivalent strategic approaches has not worked. You need to enforce the laws of the land. And the political class and the political elites have to support the law enforcement agencies to make arrests, to charge, and we need our judicial system and our Ministry of Attorney General to pursue these charges to the fullest extent of the law.
Can I ask another question to the Minister of Parliament? The Prime Minister has come under a lot of criticism for what people are describing as his lack of action when it comes to things going on in Jewish communities, against the Jewish community. Have you had conversations with him or his staff at all with regards to this, and what has he said?
So I'm going to push back against that just a little bit. The Prime Minister, myself, and other members of Cabinet have been unequivocally clear that anti-Semitism in our streets, whether it was Montreal last month during the NATO conference, whether it was the firebombing just the other day in Montreal, and other instances happening, the federal government has been very vocal. We have enhanced the SIPS program, the Community Safety Program, to ensure that there is more money available for the safety and security of schools like this, of synagogues, community centers. We've enhanced the program to allow for personnel to be hired for security safety as well. But let me be clear, we should not have to have these things in our schools. We should not have to have this kind of enhanced security time and again at community centers, at places of worship. And again, this is local governments need to work with us to get to the bottom of this. This needs to be a clear message, top to bottom, from coast to coast of this country, that the Jewish community cannot and will not be intimidated. This is un-Canadian. This is unacceptable. But this is the work of all levels of government to do. I have made my commitment to doing this unequivocally clear. And we are calling on everyone. This will need all of us to do it, because no child, no girl, and my own daughters included, should have to wake up in the morning wondering whether or not it's safe to go to school today. We wouldn't tolerate it in any other community, and there is no reason that it should be tolerated now in the hopes that this will blow over. It has not blown over, and the time to do this work is now.
So, Minister Sachs, there's been calls for...
We've been listening to a press conference outside of the Beis Chaya Mushka Jewish School for Girls. A shooting happened late last night. This is the third time that there's been a shooting incident at this particular school. We were just hearing from the principal alongside some city and other local officials as well.